Hey everyone, my name is Mike Vance and welcome to Vance Imaging. This is my very first video in the photography world on YouTube, and I just wanted to put this out there for the brand new year, 2022. Happy New Year, by the way. Hope everybody had a prosperous and really exciting and productive 2021. So anyway, I'm going to take a second to just introduce myself and kind of tell you a little bit of background about me, what I'm shooting with, just because that seems to be a topic of conversation for everybody. And it's kind of fun to talk about gear. So for the past 12 years, I apologize, for the 12 years before the pandemic hit, I was actually a full-time musician. I'm based in Nashville. You can probably see the guitars and stuff behind me. So yeah, I did that for about 12 years. On the road, working in studios and working on cruise ships. And I happened to be on the cruise ship side of things when the pandemic hit, and so of course everything shut down. And I chose to move a different direction, which is why I'm sitting here talking to you now about photography. So let's get into that a little bit. So the cruise ship shut down. I decided to put some money towards buying camera equipment. I had done it as a hobby, just kind of for fun for a while. I had done a few shoots here and there, but it never was a business. So early 2020, I bought a Nikon D3S, super cheap off a friend. And I bought this 50 millimeter 1.8 right here, just to see what I could do with it. So, of course, I started driving around my hometown. I started taking pictures of anything and everything and everyone. And I had a great time with that. Well, it kind of very quickly made me catch the photography bug. So I then started looking around on Craigslist and Facebook Marketplace. And I happened to come across this. I was not looking for this specific lens, but I bought it from a really good photographer here in Nashville named Jason Myers. And this is a 16 to 35 f4. So I went from the 50, obviously kept the 50 and added this to the arsenal, which is a super wide angle. And I was having a lot of fun with this. It kind of like led me into some astrophotography, dabbling. I'll put a couple pictures up so you can see what it's like. And so yeah, so I fell in love with this. I started screwing around with it and getting some really cool, even portrait pictures, wide angle portrait pictures. I've found that I really love those just because they're kind of unique looking and a lot of fun. So I started playing around with this. All right, so a few months later, I decided I wanted to upgrade the camera. So the D3S that I had was pretty worn down. It had well into 200,000 shutter count on it, which I know is pretty low for that camera, but it's still, it had physically been beat pretty well, but it worked. Got the opportunity to buy this. At the time, I didn't have the money to keep the D3S and get the D4, so I just sold the D3S to upgrade to the D4. I got a great deal on this thing for under $1,000, less than 50,000 on the shutter count, and I've been using that since. Yes, I've had the opportunity to buy a handful of other things, either at the time when the opportunity came up, I couldn't afford it, or I started to compare the different files, the image quality, and I actually really love the D4 images over a lot of other stuff. I had a 7200 for a while, more megapixels, but the image quality was nowhere near what this was. So I ended up sticking with the D4, and I'll kind of stick some photos up as I go through and tell you about the different lenses that I'm using, just to give you an idea of what those look like. Personally, the D4 images are fantastic. That being said, I have put in an order for the new Z9. However, that was recently, so who knows when it's actually going to be here. I'm in the dark just like you guys are. So I know a lot of you have ordered Z9s, or at least are hoping to order a Z9. So I promise as soon as mine comes in, I'll start doing some videos on it. All right, so let me see, so this was the next purchase, which I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with. This is the 85 1.4. It is an absolute must-have if you're doing portrait photography. or at least I feel like it's a must-have. I know this is a pricey lens for the average person, but if you can do it, if you can swing it, it is worth every penny. I'll throw some pictures up. I had a great time learning how to use that lens when I first got it. Obviously, everybody loves the bokeh with it because it's the 1.4 and you get nice, smooth bokeh. I love it open or closed. You know, the more closed you make it, the sharper your image is gonna be. And with this one, it's just extra crisp, nice and sharp, just beautiful, beautiful pictures. All right, so fast forward a little further. I got the 70-200. This is actually my only non-native lens. This is a Sigma. This is the DG HSM model, the EX series. 2.8, wonderful lens, well built. I actually haven't had a chance to shoot with the Nikon 70-200 yet. I've toyed around with selling this and getting the Nikon version. Obviously haven't done that yet. Mostly because this does what I need it to do and I'm not, you know, not super concerned with it. This one I was really excited about. I actually hunted down one of these for a while before I bought one, mostly because I just wasn't in a position to buy a brand new one. So this is the 200-500 5.6. I have used this for, airplanes. I've used it for, obviously, wildlife, which is what I think most people use it for. I use it for random sports things, and ironically, just as a fluke, I was out doing a maternity shoot recently, and I used it for the maternity shoot. I ended up doing that because I was using the Sigma, actually, the 70-200, which was working fine until we got in a point in this field, and where I wanted to stand, there were a lot of like pricker bushes. So I decided to walk behind those. I still had the 70-200 on. It just didn't work. It wasn't doing what I needed it to. So I threw this bad boy on, which I happen to have in the car. I usually don't carry it around with me for shoots like that, but luckily that day I had it. So I'll put some of those shots up right now so you can see the depth of field is really cool because you're getting a lot of the bushes and various stuff like that way close to me, you know, nice and blurred, and it just makes for really cool images. So before that, I hadn't thought about really doing like portrait shoots or anything of that nature with this lens, but now that I just accidentally happened upon those photos because of necessity, I'm definitely going to use it for more stuff like that. So really, really cool lens. This one is the most recent one I've added to the arsenal. This is the 105 2.8 micro lens. I love this thing. So in the beginning of 2021, I actually picked up a photography job. So I started working for a musical instrument distribution company, and I do product photography. So I hadn't really been using any I hadn't been using any micro lenses up to about a month ago when we picked this thing up. And I'll put some images up. It actually is super cool. That's the first time I've dabbled in the micro lens world. It makes great portraits too. If you ever happen to find yourself out somewhere where you have that lens, man, it is a really cool all-around unit. So anyway, that is the extent of the gear for now. I do have a couple flashes and things like that I'm using for off-camera, like portrait type stuff for indoors, outdoors, whatever. But anyway, yeah, so again, thank you guys for checking out the channel. I do plan to be posting every single week. I haven't decided what day every week. It may vary, but I'm gonna try and lock in a day in the next few weeks, just to have some consistency. So please subscribe to the channel. Hopefully you guys are as motivated to move forward and learn and do all the fun things in the new year that I am with photography, and we will be doing it together. So hopefully I will see you guys around here soon. Thanks for checking it out.